Well, hello. Welcome to Spanish class. I'm going to kind of take you through today a little bit of how I'm running my lessons with your child in Spanish class, so you can get a taste of what they're experiencing. My goals for today are the following three things. I'll give you a little introduction of who I am, some of my class expectations, and my tentative plan for hybrid learning. So this was one of the activities that the students actually did in class this year. Since they don't have their own locker, they created their own virtual locker. And so just wanted to show, and I'll use this to kind of introduce myself. Students call me Profe Páez. There's a little picture there of my two children, a little bit about me. Before I became a teacher at Forest Hills Northern, I lived in the Dominican Republic for 8 years, where I ran a sports organization, sports club for kids in the community, and provided mentors and that kind of thing for kids in the community. And so when I moved here, I was immediately just fascinated by the immersion programs around. And that's one thing that I love about being a Spanish immersion teacher, is that I can bring a lot of those experiences into the classroom. I'm not going to go into all the other details of these things here, but one of the things I do want to mention is this represents my desire to try to pull in new ways of technology. Over those first couple of weeks, I've really been trying to train your children on different platforms that we'll be using, so that if we were to go 100% virtual, hopefully we don't, but if we do, they will be prepared with the skills and know how to use the technology. And I'm trying to learn things every day of new things to keep them engaged, whether they're at home or in class, so that it can be a positive experience for them. I just put these because I like my kids. This is Jaylene and this is Cooper. And I actually put that on just to also encourage, if you can help me encourage your kids to ask questions, especially when they're in person. I've been getting a lot of emails, which I love. Kids are asking questions. How do we do things? But I feel like we have to continue to encourage them to ask questions when they're in class. I think sometimes maybe they're intimidated or they don't want to speak up. But I do have two lovely children at home that keep me busy. And so I do my best to answer emails as quickly as I can. But it would be helpful if they continue to ask questions in class and make sure before they go home that they're understanding what they have to do. And that's one of the challenges with virtual learning, is that you don't have the teacher there to ask questions. And so I just want to encourage that. Some of my class expectations, and I think this should be similar to the past, but some are always surprised. One is Spanish all the time. I know that may be a surprise, but I expect students, as soon as they walk through my door until they leave, they are speaking in Spanish. I feel like, maybe there's 5 minutes at the end of class that they're talking and practicing their Spanish. Students kind of have a realization the first couple weeks when their participation grade is lowered, because they're like, well, I participate in class, but they may be really speaking in a lot of English. And so if you see that grade in participation be dropped, it's probably because of that. It may not necessarily be a negative discipline issue in the class, but it's a lot of times because they're speaking English when they should be speaking Spanish. I also use a variety of activities. I'm always changing my desk around, even though that's harder now because I need to keep them socially distanced. But, just doing lots of different activities, speaking, listening, reading, writing. And so I really try to mix it up with students. My homework policy, I don't accept late work, period. I try, and this is a policy by many teachers here at Northern. And so they need to have things in on time and be responsible with that. Again, be responsible, take ownership. I will not be tracking students down. Hey, I'm missing this. You were absent. They need to go onto Google Classroom if they're absent, to see what they missed. And I'm going to show you that real quick. So what that looks like is, let's say, so here is for one of my hours. On Google Classroom, when they go in, they can see Stream. Stream is just any important announcements. So I made a Quizlet for kids that they could use to study some of the vocab words. So those are things that are just general announcement. I also post at the beginning of the week the link that they will use to connect to the Zoom, as well as the Google Slides presentation. So on my virtual days, the kids that are at home and the kids that are in class, are following along with the same Google Slides presentation that I'm using, and it's neat. It's like they get to interact with it in different ways. The other thing that you can see on their Google Classroom is I have everything here. So one thing is I have a class website, so they can go onto that, and let's see if it'll show up for me here. Let's see. Just kidding. It does exist, but basically it's a website that I think when they log into it, they can see all of different important videos that I've shown in class. I'll have all my recorded lessons on there too. So if at any point they miss something, they can go back and see those, or maybe they want to review for a quiz or test. They have all of my lessons in one place. And then each week, I post what we do every day. And so they can go on and see exactly what we did in class. If they're absent, so this was a day, for example, that we had a live Zoom. If students were present, that just said, yep, this is what we did today. If they were absent, this announcement is going to be pushed out to them. So basically, they must somewhat replicate the activities that they missed during the live Zoom. And they have till midnight that day to complete that. So yes, I'll explain more of some of my things with virtual learning, but that's kind of where they can go. Normally I always do this in Spanish, but because of the virtual learning setting, I just feel like this is best so that the instructions are very clear. Kids aren't able to ask me questions as easily, so that this is very much, okay, I know what I'm supposed to do. And then obviously the activities that they do, the tasks that they do are in Spanish. Okay, so I'm going to head back here. So that's where they can find things. Google Classroom, anytime they are absent or they're present, that's where they can see what they need to do. So, this is my tentative plan, for this hybrid learning time. Now, I ask that, students be patient with that. We're trying to figure out what works best. So my plan as of right now is to, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll be presenting new information. So on their first virtual day of the week, so it may be a Monday or Tuesday, they're expected to get onto Zoom, where I am teaching a live lesson. I feel like it's good for students, especially in a language class, that they're having to maintain a routine of like, I got to wake up for school because I have this Zoom conversation. So at least gets them up by the hour that they have me as a teacher. And also it just gets them to keep using their Spanish more, instead of, if they only have me 2 days a week, they may not be using and speaking as much if they don't have that. And so like I mentioned, their first virtual day of the week will be Zoom. On that Wednesday, that's if we have a 5-day week, that's a remote day. I will be pushing out a lesson that they will watch and kind of take notes with via Edpuzzle. And we'll be practicing that this week, so they'll know what to do with that. And then again, if they're absent on a Zoom virtual day, so there's only one Zoom virtual day a week for the students. Like I mentioned before, that day's activities will be pushed out to them via Google Classroom, and they need to complete that by midnight. Now, if they are sick, okay, and they're on their virtual day, either you or them just needs to shoot me an email and just say, hey, they're sick, they're not going to be able to get on the Zoom. They will have an extra day, obviously, to complete it. I'm not going to expect them, if they're sick, that they have to get those activities done. But I just need to be let know, because I don't know if it's their virtual day. I don't know if they're sick or they just didn't show up for the Zoom. So the last thing is, on Thursday and Friday, my goal is to practice the new information that I taught on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We may have quizzes or tests on those days. And so on that Thursday and Friday, they'll be present one day and they'll have a virtual day the other day. And so on their virtual day, I will push those things out, what they need to be doing at home. And those activities need to be done by 2:10 of that day, unless I otherwise specify something different. I think that is about it. I think your kids are great. I've been really impressed the first couple of weeks of school. I'm looking forward to teaching them this year. And if you have any questions or concerns or things that maybe from the syllabus that you supposedly signed, because your student brought that back to me, if you didn't read it, you might need to have a talk. But if you have any questions with that, feel free to reach out to me via email, and we can either set up a time to talk or I can respond through email. So Thank you so much for sending your kid here to Northern. I'm excited to be their teacher. And what's fun is I feel like I've had a lot of your kids' siblings in class. And so it's been neat to see a lot of familiar faces. So feel free to reach out, and I hope we have a great school year.